The detention facility on Kepler Station had held prisoners from over 40 species during its 3-decade operation. The Zephyrian guards had seen everything: the rage-filled roars of captured Thurian warriors, the silent despair of defeated crystalline mystics, and the calculated plotting of imprisoned corporate guild executives. What they had never seen was a human prisoner smile. Commander Vextok clicked his mandibles nervously as he observed the human through the energy barrier of cell block Omega-7. The creature, Marcus Chen, according to the files, sat cross-legged on the metal floor, eyes closed in apparent meditation. 3 solar cycles had passed since the Galactic Enforcement Division had brought him in, charged with the destruction of an entire hegemony supply convoy. The evidence was overwhelming. 37 ships reduced to debris, their crews vaporized, and only this single human found drifting in an escape pod at the epicenter of the carnage. "He hasn't spoken a word since arrival," reported Subcommander Krill, his serpentine form coiled beside the observation panel. "Refuses all interrogation. Just sits there breathing." Vextok studied the biometric readings. Heart rate steady. Brain activity peculiar. Almost as if he's calculating something. The human was unremarkable by most standards. Average height for his species, lean build, dark hair streaked with premature gray. His simple gray prison uniform bore the typical energy-dampening fibers designed to suppress any latent psychic abilities. Yet something about his stillness unnerved the veteran commander. In his experience, dangerous prisoners fell into 2 categories: those who raged against their captivity, and those who retreated into despair. This human did neither. "Sir," Krill's voice carried a tremor. "He's moving." Marcus Chen opened his eyes, pale blue, almost colorless, and turned his gaze directly toward the observation window. Despite the one-way barrier, it felt as though he was looking straight at them. Then slowly, deliberately, he smiled. The expression was neither bitter nor manic. It wasn't the desperate grin of someone who had lost their sanity, nor the cold smirk of defiance. It was the smile of someone who had just confirmed something they had long suspected, a smile of satisfaction. "Alert General Korath immediately," Vextok commanded, his chitinous exoskeleton clicking with agitation. "Something's wrong." Before Krill could respond, the lights flickered. Emergency klaxons began wailing throughout the facility. The human's smile widened. Massive energy signature approaching the station. Came a frantic transmission from the control center. "Multiple vessels dropping out of hyperspace." Through the viewport they watched as the void erupted with ships, not the sleek angular vessels of the galactic hegemony, or the brutal wedges of the Thurian Empire. These were human ships, a motley collection of converted freighters, modified mining vessels, and repurposed passenger liners. They shouldn't have been a threat to a military installation like Kepler Station. They shouldn't have been able to penetrate this far into hegemony space undetected. But as the first salvo of weapons fire struck the station's shields, Vextok realized with growing horror that these weren't civilian vessels anymore. The energy signatures were all wrong. The weapon yields far exceeded anything in the human military catalog. Somehow, impossibly, this ragtag fleet was tearing through Kepler Station's defenses like tissue paper. "How?" Krill whispered, watching the shields collapse under the relentless assault. "Their technology is centuries behind ours. We've seen their ships. They're held together with metal welds and desperation." Marcus Chen stood slowly, his movements fluid despite 3 days of confinement. He approached the energy barrier of his cell and placed his palm against it. The barrier flickered and died. "You made one critical error," he said, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. It was the first time either guard had heard him speak. His accent was strange, not the crude dialect of the frontier colonies they expected, but refined, educated. "You assumed our technology was primitive because it looked different from yours." Vextok reached for his weapon, but the human raised a hand peacefully. "Your energy weapons are indeed more advanced than our kinetic systems," Marcus continued, walking calmly toward the observation window. "Your faster-than-light drives are more efficient than our jump engines. Your material science surpasses ours in nearly every category." He paused, that unsettling smile returning. "But you never developed quantum entanglement communication because you never needed to." The station shuddered as another wave of human ships materialized. These ones different. Larger, clearly military vessels that shouldn't exist in this sector. The hegemony intelligence reports had been very clear about human naval capabilities. This fleet shouldn't be possible. You see, Marcus explained, apparently unbothered by the explosions rocking the facility, humanity has been fighting wars across interstellar distances for 2 centuries. We learned early that the speed of light is humanity's greatest enemy, so we developed ways around it. Every human ship, every human settlement, every human soldier carries quantum communicators. We don't just coordinate our fleets across space, we coordinate them across time. The observation window cracked as debris from a destroyed hegemony patrol craft struck the hull. The convoy attack wasn't random violence, Marcus continued. It was bait. We knew you'd capture me. We knew you'd bring me here, to your most secure facility in this sector. We needed to know exactly where you kept your high-value prisoners, your intelligence archives, your command structures. His smile became almost gentle. Every moment I've sat in that cell, I've been transmitting data to the fleet. Real-time intelligence about your defenses, your patrol schedules, your weaknesses. Vextok finally understood. The quantum communicator, it's in your body. Woven into my nervous system during childhood, Marcus confirmed, as it is for every human who ventures beyond our borders. We are never truly alone, Commander. Never truly cut off. When you captured me, you didn't take a prisoner. You invited a living surveillance system into your most classified facility. The station's superstructure groaned as the human fleet began docking procedures. In the distance, Vextok could see hegemony reinforcements arriving, but they were too few, too late. The humans had achieved complete tactical surprise. Why tell us this now? Krill demanded. Why reveal your capabilities? Marcus walked to the shattered viewport and gazed out at the battle. Human boarding pods were already attaching to the station's hull, because the war isn't about keeping secrets anymore. It's about sending a message. He turned back to face the alien guards, and for the first time, his smile held something cold and dangerous. You've spent decades treating humanity like a minor nuisance, a primitive species barely worth your attention. Today, you learn what happens when you underestimate evolution's most persistent survivors. The blast doors exploded inward as human soldiers breached the detention block. As rescue teams surrounded their operative, Marcus Chen looked back at the alien guards who had held him captive. Tell your superiors, he said quietly, that this wasn't a rescue mission. This was a job interview, and humanity just got the position. The last thing Vextok saw before the stun charges knocked him unconscious was Marcus Chen's satisfied smile, the expression of a predator who had just taught the galaxy a very expensive lesson about the dangers of caging a human.